No fluff, no filters, just Phillies versus A's, raw and uncut. Today on Locked On Crossover.
You are Locked On MLB Crossover, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Welcome to a special Locked On Crossover edition of Locked On A's and Locked On Phillies, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day. I'm your host, Booney, one name, all passion, joined by Connor Thomas, host of Locked On Phillies, bringing the East Coast grit and the Philly heat. Whether you are rocking green and gold or bleeding red and white, we got you covered from coast to coast. I've been a diehard A's fan since '81, straight out of the Bay Area, and this isn't just another A's podcast. This is the most informative and insightful show on the A's, period. We break down every pitch, every roster move, and every rumor from Sacramento to Las Vegas. And Connor, he's bringing that same daily grind and razor-sharp Phillies analysis that's made Locked On Phillies the go-to for fans in the city of brotherly love. This episode's about two passionate fans, two historic franchises, and one unfiltered conversation you will not hear anywhere else. We are free and available wherever you get your podcast, including YouTube. So smash that subscribe button and stay locked in. It's Booney and Connor bringing the noise. Let's go. Connor, we have, how you doing, buddy?
I'm doing great, man. How about yourself, Booney?
Good, man. Well, we have two teams going in opposite directions. I just concluded the A's losing their 9th game in a row, giving up another lead. They let 8 unanswered score in the 7th inning. And we're in a 9-game skid. And the Phillies just got their 7th win in a row. They've been playing some great baseball, haven't they?
Yeah, they really have been, but they haven't been playing great competition. So the 7-game win streak comes entirely against the Pittsburgh Pirates and the Colorado Rockies. So not exactly playing the cream of the crop there, but the Phillies have started to hit their stride. Top record in the National League.
Absolutely.
You feel like you're starting to see what the ceiling of this team could be.
Tell me about the 2025 Phillies, the expectations. People have talked about them being a possible World Series contender. Do you feel they're on pace or off pace? And before we get to that, FanDuel, this episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can get $200 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. Are they a World Series team, Hunter?
Yeah, they absolutely are. They're on pace for 102 wins right now if they continue at this clip. Now, they're not going to, because you're not going to play bottom of the barrel competition every single time out. But their pitching staff will go toe-to-toe with anybody in baseball.
Sure.
And that's been the key for the Phillies. The starting rotation is unbelievable. And when you have Kyle Schwarber swinging it the way they do right now, Bryce Harper, I mean, they got all the pieces, and they've been in that level of competition for 4 years now.
Sure.
But they just haven't broken through, and that's going to be the key for this Phillies team is consistency and not letting a great start to the year or a great middle of May wane off as we get deeper into the summer.
Now the A's aren't going to see him this weekend, but you got a kid that just made his debut last week. What's his name and what's his story?
Yeah. So it's Mick Abel. Now, Mick Abel, he's back down in the minors, actually. And that was the plan, was he came up to kind of reset the rotation with Aaron Nola going to the injured list. Nola down on the injured list with
He's been a disappointment a little bit.
He's been terrible this year, if I'm being honest. And Aaron Nola is a guy who has his ups and downs throughout his career, but he's been basically all down. So it's good actually to hear. You want him to be okay, obviously, but it's good to hear he has something ailing him so he can kind of reset. Mick Abel made a great start, but he will not be up for this series against the A's. You guys are still going to see some great.
Oh yeah. We got Zach Wheeler. We got who do we got on?
It's going to be Wheeler. You're going to be seeing Christopher Sanchez, and then Jesus Luzardo are the 3 projected starters for the Phils, who have been the Phils' top 3 arms this year. So no breaks for the A's in your rough skid right now.
And speaking of Wheeler, he is one of those guys that reminds you not to just trade away prospects. As the crosstown Bay Area San Francisco Giants, how you fleeced them for Zach Wheeler by giving up. Was that Carlos Beltran?
So that was the Mets that did that. And then the Mets decided not to sign him in free agency. So we actually got him in free agency. It's on both the Giants and the Mets for letting him go. He's been amazing.
He's arguably, he's arguably the best pitcher in baseball. Top 3, top 5 for sure. Absolutely. No question about it.
No doubt. Now, what's been up with the A's? Because the record looks pretty solid. I know you guys are in a tough stretch right now, but you guys had a solid start to the year, all things considered, with the tumultuous feeling of playing in a minor league park and the move that's ongoing. Like, how have you guys gotten to the record that you have?
Man, jeez. Where do I start? And again, a little flabbergasted. Like I said, we just lost the 9th in a row. Coming into the year, during the off season, I thought the A's were going to be very, very good. I still believe they're going to be very, very good. I picked them to win 85 games and to win the AL West, and I based that on how we did in July and August last year. And during that stretch, we actually took 2 of 3 in Philly. We're a good team. Pitching's been an issue with us. Bullpen is surprisingly very, very bad. It's one thing or another with this team. Either we're pitching and not hitting, either we have a lead and the bullpen gives it up, or we're hitting and starting pitching is absolutely imploding. We left 43 runners on base this last series against the Angels. We're not getting any type of big hit. It's been a perfect storm. Our team's a little soft too. We have been complaining about playing in a minor league park. Hey, no one likes the situation, but you're a pro. It is what it is. Toughen up. The thing I think we got going for us this weekend, and I think the only thing against the Phillies, is that the Phillies are going to overlook us. Because like I said, I believe in the team. I still believe we are a very, very talented team and can play heads up with anybody. You're going to be seeing Jeffrey Springs tonight. And he is a trade we made with Tampa Bay, and he's starting to pitch a little bit. He is ERA in his last 4 outings, but just under 1.5. I think it's going to be an absolute pitcher's duel between him and Wheeler. But again, playing in Sacramento, the ball's going to fly out of there too. Yeah. And a big reason for that, a lot of people, why is it going to fly? There's no upper deck, right? It gets windy at Sutter Health Park. So if that wind direction is going in the right way, it's going to absolutely fly out of the park. So we'll see what happens. But yeah, it's been a frustrating stretch for sure. We were on a brutal 19-game stretch. Our last 6 games of that 19-game stretch was in LA against the Dodgers. We took the first game, feeling real good.
Yeah.
Lose the next 2, which is fine. It's the Dodgers. Get swept in San Francisco on 3 games. We could have won all 3. Mm-hmm. And then we come back home to Sacramento, which I don't even think it's good. We have one of the worst records, the worst home record in all of baseball at home, and one of the best road records in all of baseball. And against the Angels, and that was a series to kind of get right, and they swept us in 4 games. So
yeah. You know what? You sound to me kind of like where the 2022 Phillies are, and Phillies fans will remember this, where it was a team where you could see some of the talent that was there, and they just couldn't figure out how to win consistently. They would have these weird series where they would get swept by teams that they should not, or not compete in series where they should compete more, and they backed their way into the postseason, and then they got hot at the right time. So it sounds like the A's are a team that has growth in talent year over year, but are still trying to figure out how to win baseball games consistently, and that only comes with experience.
Yeah, absolutely. Comes with in leadership, right? Right now, we don't have that leader. Leadership is so important in holding those accountable around you for doing the right things, the simple type of plays, hitting the cutoff man, getting a run home with under two outs from third base, things like that, sacrificing for the team. Our defense is also one of the worst in baseball. So you'll be seeing Springs on Saturday. You're going to be seeing Jacob Lopez, who we just called up. He's been up and down a little bit from the minor leagues on Saturday. He's a good left-handed arm. And then you're going to be seeing a rookie, Gunnar Hoglund, making his fourth start on Sunday, who we received in the Matt Chapman trade. I think he's really good. I think it's going to be a decent series. We'll see what A's team's going to show up, right? 9-game losing streak. We're going to see who they are and how they respond. And when they come back, I'd love to get your take on what kind of series you think it'll be. The NBA playoffs are absolutely cooking. We are talking about buzzer beaters, monster dunks, and enough drama to put cable TV out of business. Every night, somebody turns into a legend. And if you're watching all of this chaos without a little action on the line, you're doing it wrong. FanDuel makes jumping into the game easier than a wide-open layup. Whether you are picking player props, cooking up a spicy same-game parlay, or riding a performance trend, FanDuel's got you covered before the game and as it's happening. But let's talk baseball for a second. The Phillies are in Sacramento tonight. Yes, you heard that right. And they are running headfirst into a buzzsaw named Jeffrey Springs. The A's lefty has been slicing through lineups, and he's especially brutal on left-handed bats. Sorry, Bryce Harper, Brandon Marsh, and Kyle Schwarber. Tonight might not be your night. On the other side, Phillies ace Zach Wheeler, who's more locked in than your grandma's Tupperware. This one screams old school pitcher's duel. Think 1-0 final and 20 combined strikeouts. So here's the move. I'm tossing a $5 bet on under earned runs and over strikeouts for both aces. Why? Because it's fun. And because if it hits, FanDuel is handing me $200 in bonus bets. New to FanDuel? This is your moment. Go to FanDuel.com, drop your first $5 bet, and if it wins, boom, $200 in bonus bets. No brainer. Make every bucket, strikeout, and buzzer beater count. FanDuel, official sports betting partner of the NBA. Well, Connor, first game I think is going to be low scoring, man. How do you think this series is going to go? How the Phillies been swinging it, and are they still leading off Schwarber every game?
So they've actually moved Bryson Stott, lefty, into the leadoff spot when they're facing righties. So you'll probably actually see Trey Turner up there for the first game, facing a lefty later on tonight. They've been variable with the lineup, but in this 4-game series against the Rockies, they had 50 hits in that series.
Jesus.
So they've been swinging it a little bit. Now the Rockies are the Rockies, and they have 8 wins so far in the year for a reason, but Bryce Harper's been heating up. Alec Bohm's been heating up. Kyle Schwarber's been hot all year. This team is starting to really feel it at the plate, so it is not a great time for a pitching staff to face them. The weird thing about how this series is going to go, though, with Jose Alvarado, who is the Phillies' biggest high-leverage arm, getting popped for PEDs. He's on an 80-game suspension. He's ineligible for the postseason. And the mid-level relievers that the Phillies have not really been looking all that great, even against Colorado. You won all the games, but they were consistently giving up runs in the late innings, even though it didn't really matter at those points. So I think you're going to see a game or a series where starting pitching looks awesome. And then when you hit the 6th or 7th inning, all bets are off on who's going to find wins in these ones.
I agree with you 100%. Jacob Lopez, the guy on Saturday, was like, hey, who's this guy? Who's starting? He has great stuff. He was great in he's been great in AAA. When he had his one start, he actually looked good. He walked a ton of batters. If his command's bad, obviously, just like any other pitcher, he's going to have his problems. But Hoagland's been great. He gave up one mistake on his last outing against the Angels, a 3-run bomb that tied the game up at 5. He got charged with 5 runs over 4 innings, but he looked incredible before that one mistake. I like where you're at with regard to, I think it's going to be a pitcher's duel. I'm worried about the A's bullpen, man. I am just so concerned about it. I think it's going to be competitive getting into the 6th, 7th inning. And then after that, I think it's just going to come down to what team has better at bats against relievers. And the A's haven't gotten that done. So we'll see what happens. Is Bryce Harper still that guy?
Yeah, he's still that guy. He's always been that guy. He forever will be that guy.
Will, huh?
Now, he had a cold start to the year. It's funny. I was talking about this yesterday on our last episode. So he shaved his head at like the start of the month. And since he's been hitting like 350, 438 has been like his slash line. He just hit his first home run in a while in Colorado against the Rockies couple nights ago, but the power stroke is not as important for him with Schwarber hitting the ball out of the yard the way he is. He's just, his plate coverage is back to what it should be.
Yeah.
His vision is back to what it should be. He had an RBI double in the 2-0 win over the Rockies in the series ender. I mean, he's just been vintage Bryce Harper as of late. And if he's rolling, like, the top part of this lineup becomes impossible to deal with.
I want to talk about a little bit about a guy that was an all-star last year who may have just Alec Blach. I think you know what I'm talking about.
I know exactly where you were going.
2 questions. Where's he at right now? And what do Phillies fans feel about him?
Yeah, so he's all right now. He started to swing it a little bit better. And part of the reason is he was their cleanup guy for points in the 2024 season and back in 2023. And now he's been batting 7th or 8th or even 9th sometimes. And when he gets down near the bottom of the order, it takes the pressure off him. He's such like a mental guy where if he has failures, it gets to him. But when he has success, he can build that confidence. And he started to hit much better. Since being in the 8 hole, he's batting around 300 from down there. And now the question with him is like, well, do you move him up if he's doing so well down there and make him uncomfortable? He's been doing well, though, and he's a nice piece to balance out the bottom of the lineup, and you can get away with that because the top has been so good. Now, how Phillies fans feel about him, that's a whole nother story because the fan base and the organization kind of felt like they gave up on him this offseason. There were trade rumors.
Sure.
They wanted to move him. The fan base got this inkling of, oh, he's this head case that gets really upset when he has failures at the plate. And we saw that last year. And he sat in the postseason series against the Mets, which was crazy considering he was an all-star starter. And then you don't play him in game 2 of your series with the New York Mets. So it's like, what in the world is going on there? So the fan base is still kind of, they don't know how to feel about Alec Blach. He's an ancillary piece to this puzzle for the Phillies right now, and that's a good thing for him. But you're not really looking at him as an all-star player. You're looking at him as a guy with an all-star ceiling that is not quite still reaching it. But again, you don't want to put pressure on him. You don't want to move him up. Let him do his thing at the bottom part of the lineup, and that seems to work really well. He just had, actually, his best series of the year in Colorado. A go-ahead home run in the 8th inning of game 1 out there in Denver. He had some great defensive plays, which has been a rough spot at points in his career for him.
Yeah.
He seems very, very comfortable. The fan base isn't quite back to being comfortable with him yet, though.
I got you. Speaking of fan bases, the A's don't have much of one right now. Mm-hmm. Chances are there's going to be more Phillies fans in Sutter Health Park than there will be A's fans. And a lot of the reason is just because when the A's decided to leave Oakland, the Oakland, obviously, fan base said, to the hell with you. We're not following you. We hate you, etc. So that fan base is obviously gone. Sacramento, owner made, in my opinion, a real bad mistake by going out of his way and not taking Sacramento's name. And on top of that, we're only in Sacramento for 3 years. And beyond that, Vegas is still 3 years away, so that fan base can't really get involved either. What I do want to ask you is, on the West Coast and A's fans, well, whatever ones we have these days, we hear in the media and the news and Sports Center and whatever you want to call it about the Philly fans. And there is obviously a stereotype on them. I've never been to a ball game in Philly. Is it as bad or as passionate or as all of the above as we hear with regard to how the media reports it?
It's not as bad. It is as passionate. So we're not dangerous, I would say, Philadelphia fans. Back in the day, when Veterans Stadium was still standing,
sure,
all bets are off. But we know that the 80s, 90s, early 2000s, different than where we're at right now in 2025. So the fan base is passionate, though. And listen, I talk to them every day doing Sports Talk Radio, Sports Talk TV here in Philadelphia. So I get a chance to interact with Philadelphia fans. I am a Philadelphia fan. So we're loud and we're definitely passionate about the team. But if you're not a rival team, and if it's a sport that's not football, you're normally going to be just fine. Like, we don't have any beef with the Oakland Athletics, or, well, now the Athletics, no longer. Sorry to use the previous name there. But we don't have any beef with the A's. And we've seen a lot of Phillies fans in the series in Denver. we took over, speaking of minor league stadiums, there were mostly Phillies fans down at Steinbrenner Field in Tampa when we played the Rays earlier this month. And there's not really, because baseball, it's not every game matters. It's 162. The passion of football season that Philadelphia fans are most known for doesn't really exist with this team. Not that they don't care about the Phillies, and they're hypercritical of the Phillies when things go wrong, also hyper positive when things go right. But there's no worry about, I'd imagine there'll be a good amount of Phillies fans that make the trip from Denver to Sacramento or are already out there and just made like a West Coast swing of it. I've done trips like that before. So you'll see a bunch of red, but there shouldn't be any concern about how they're going to treat you. Philadelphia fans get a bad rap for being tough. They're tougher on their own team than they are on opposing fans, unless you're a Braves or Mets fan, unless you're a Cowboys fan, Celtics, Penguins. Those rivals is where it gets really rough. But A's fans will be just fine. And also,
I don't think we have many of them, but yeah, I get it.
And also when the team's playing well, we're even nicer. So the fact that the Phils are on a 7-game win streak, they'll be totally fine out there. Any Phillies fans that do make the trip.
Is it World Series or bust this year for the Phillies?
Always has been, always will be.
Always has been, yeah. Was there a bad taste in everyone's mouth in that Mets series last year?
So I'll tell you this right now. There's a portion of this fan base that hates this baseball team. Hates it. And it just absolutely does. And part of me is like, what is wrong with you guys? It's a quality team. They're going to compete again. They're really, really talented. And the other part of me is, I get it. You've run back the same core for the past 3 years, and you've taken backslides in the postseason, and it's more of the same. And the feeling is, well, the organization's kind of okay with where we're at and just hoping for something different with the same formula. Now, in baseball, sometimes that works. You saw with the Dodgers out on the West Coast, they didn't really change. Well, Ohtani's a big change, but the spending was the same. The principle was the same. They finally broke through this past year with a superpowered team, but they had disappointments themselves. So things can be different, but it's World Series or bust, especially because Kyle Schwarber's on the final year of his deal. JT Realmuto's on the final year of his deal. Ranger Suarez is on the final year of his deal. So they're going to have to cash in on this era of Phillies baseball, or it will end without a World Series, and we will not be happy about that.
Connor, if it's okay with you, when we come back, I want to get some predictions.
Sounds great.
Connor, 3-game set starting tomorrow night in Sacto. What do you think? What's going to happen? How's this series going to shape up? How many do you got the Phillies winning? 2 or 3?
Yeah, so you need an act of God to beat Zach Wheeler these days. He's been pretty darn good. So I'm going to give the Phillies the win in Game 1 later on tonight. Jesus Luzardo has been pretty darn good too. I had a chance to talk to Jason Stark earlier this week, and he brought up a great stat that the start that Jesus Luzardo has had to this year as a left-handed pitcher, being undefeated through this many starts, a sub-2 ERA, the amount of strikeouts, the only 2 lefties that have ever put up those numbers have been Jesus Luzardo and Randy Johnson. So
is that right?
Pretty darn good start to the year for the Phillies acquisition from the Marlins. Wow. That's why I have the Phillies taking 2 of 3. I don't think they're going to end up making it 10 straight victories and sweeping out the A's. But I do think they take the first game of the series, the third game of the series. If there's somewhere you're going to get the Phillies, it's with Christopher Sanchez, who has had shaky starts compared to where his ceiling could be. He's going to throw Game 2. So that's who I'd keep an eye on as far as a guy that's beatable in this Phillies rotation. 2 out of 3 would be just fine. And you'd end up, if you're the Phillies, short 2-series road trip. That would be 6-1 on a West Coast swing they normally have some trouble. We'd take it. But do you think the A's have a chance to win this series?
I tell you what I think is going to happen. And like I said, I believe in this team. I think this team is very, very good. When you look at it from a personnel standpoint and the players they have, it is an extremely talented team. I think tonight's game is going to be an old school playoff type of baseball game between 2 real quality pitchers. And I think it's going to come down to a 1-run game late. If the A's can pull that off, they are going to get the first break they've been looking for a long time. If they can get like a 2-1, 3-2 win, maybe bloop a single and get a run off Wheeler or however it may be and get another run off the bullpen, I'm going to go bold. I think the A's will sweep the series.
Wow. Oh, that's awesome.
If they lose the game like they have been, they're going to get swept, and Saturday and Sunday is going to be ugly. It won't even be close.
Wow. So the first game of the series to you is the determination between a sweep one way or the other.
Because like I said, the A's are a very, very good team. And if you look at the 9 games, over that 9-game stretch, I'm not kidding you, they could be 6-3, 7-2, easy. Yeah. We haven't given too many away. It's just like today, like I said, a 5-2 lead late going into the 7th. They score 8 unanswered. We lose 10-5. We're completely in control yesterday. A 3-run bomb in the 6th. We go bust after that, or in the 5th. Yeah. And, we completely lose it. Here's a good example of how it's been going for the A's. Today in the 7th and 8th inning, first 2 runners get on. First and second, no one out. Like clockwork. The next guy comes up, 4-6-3 double play. Mm-hmm. Each time, it's just been bad. So right now, I think they have an edge about them. Right now, I think they're going to come into the game with a sense of urgency, like, hey, they're playing with their lives on the line, right? 9 games, they're 7 games back right now. There's been a lot of promise for the A's, a lot of anticipation with this team, and they all know they haven't been playing. So that's how I think it's going to happen. If we could pull out tonight's game is going to be the key. I think it's going to give us some momentum going forward.
If you're going to beat the Phillies, like I'll just tell you right now, something to watch for in this series. They have been incredible against bullpen arms this year. Like, they've had trouble against starting pitchers. Final game of the Rocky series, German Marquez, who came into that game with an 8+ ERA, nearly shut them down. They got 4 hits in that final game. That's it. So they have their days where they go quiet, but game 1 against the Rockies, they're down 3-2 in the 8th inning, haven't created much offense. I mean, they had some hits here and there, but they weren't scraping anything across. Alec Blach hits a go-ahead 2-run. The next thing you know, the Phillies put up 9 runs and 17 hits in that game. Brandon Marsh, who came into the first game of the series in the 7th inning, ended up going 2 for 3. He got 3 at-bats and 2 hits after being inserted that late. So you got to kill the Phillies. The game is not over until it's over against this team, which is awesome from a Phillies fan's perspective because you always feel like you have a chance. But the bullpen's going to have to be up for the task for the A's. It'll be the same for the Phils, though, with the bullpen struggles that we've seen throughout the year for them.
Any prospects, anybody you guys have up that the A's should be keeping an eye on, maybe off the bench, bullpen, anybody exciting?
Yeah, so not a prospect, but a guy that's going to be coming off the bench. He may get starts in this series, or he may pinch hit at points, defensive replacement. Edmundo Sosa, who we acquired a couple years ago from the St. Louis Cardinals. He's been under team control forever. He's been a bench piece forever. The infield's stacked, so he just doesn't have a way to get consistently on the field. He's batting close to 350 this year, and he's had a lot of opportunities. Went yard in the Colorado series. He's a monster off the bat. He'd start for probably 25 of the 30 Major League Baseball franchises. Just happens to play for a team with 3 infield starters on the National League All-Star team from last year. So he doesn't get a lot of opportunity. But if you see number 33 make his way to the plate or find his way into the lineup in one of these games, he's been absolutely unbelievable for these Phillies. A great defensive player as well. He's kind of, if Schwarber ceased to exist, because Schwarber's the heartbeat of this team. If there's another guy, it might be Edmundo Sosa, which is crazy to say for a dude who doesn't play, but teammates love him. He gets the job done every time. He's been one of the X factors for the Phillies as far as a depth piece so far this year.
He's got some rookie Jacob Wilson, who was a sixth overall pick from in 2023.
Yeah, I'm familiar with Jacob Wilson, but tell the people because his bat to ball is incredible.
Incredible, man. I mean, he struck out so far all year, 7 times all year, maybe. Reminds me of a lot like as far as his approach, a lot like Derek Jeter, right? Obviously not, to that type of level, but same type of deal. His approach, Jeter, you never expected with pop, but has a little pop. Same thing with Wilson, can hit it a little bit. Jeter didn't have the strongest arm at shortstop, but made all the plays. Same thing with Wilson. Also, reminds me a little bit of a Trey Turner without the speed. but he is fun to watch. Tyler Soderstrom's another guy who's playing left field, who was a first-round pick in 2021. Got off to a sizzling start. First 2.5 weeks of the season, hit 9 home runs. Since then's only hit 1. So we have a lot of guys, young guys, that should be fun. I mean, our 6 guys in the starting lineup are first-round picks. So it's a lot of fun as far as what you're going to see. But again, we're missing that leadership. If we show some grit, if we show some toughness, I think it's going to be a fun, exciting series. I think it comes down to tonight's game. And if we don't, the Phillies leadership, their experience, they're going to expose us.
Well, we'll see what happens. But either way, we don't get to see these teams match up very often, really once a year. So it's going to be a cool series. It's going to be an interesting setting with the ballpark. The Phillies are red hot. The A's are ice cold. Something will change in this series from that perspective.
Or stay the same, right? Yeah.
Well, hey, we wouldn't hate that in Philly, but it's going to be an entertaining one either way. And this is not the same old A's of like, oh, well, the pushover teams in the final couple of years in Oakland. They got fight in them. So it'll be a better series than what Phillies fans have seen against the Rockies and Pirates. I'm excited, man.
Hey, it's going to be fun. Connor, thank you, pal.
Thank you, Booney.
You made the right call by making Locked On A's your first listen of the day. Championship mindset, elite taste. Now, for your second listen, it's time to hit the big stage with Locked On MLB Game Night. Every game, every night, all season long. It's like the MLB version of Red Zone, except instead of touchdowns, you're getting bombs, bat flips, and bullpen meltdowns from across the league. You will get local experts breaking it all down with that home team edge, but on a national scale. No fluff, no filler, just real talk from people who actually watch the games. So after you roll with us, level up with Locked On MLB Game Night. Find it on YouTube or wherever you get your podcast. Baseball never sleeps. Why should your podcast queue?